All right. I'm going to pretend like I just started the stream. We're doing a snow day drinking stream for my SLC, SLDP, Rhythm Lord, Rhythm Academy students. What's good, YouTube? I don't know if I'm going to upload this. Let's get a Fizo in the chat. Come on, Fizo's in the chat. Fizo. Let's go, boys. Let's go. All right. So the goal for today, just going to talk about some synthesis stuff and then possibly try to create a song relatively quickly. I do need a Fizo emote. That is a very good point. So I'm about to show the technique that GLORK showed me, but right off the bat, I was just showing the boys these tables that I've been working on. I mean, I don't know. These just sound so good to me. Put a little ace and minus on here. I think there was one more cool one that I made yesterday. Ah, yes, this one. And just to cross-reference with like kind of where I was at with custom wavetable creation before, I basically tried to figure out the best strategies for importing and processing just samples, and it kind of would sound like this, which is definitely some really good results. This is what my whole YouTube tutorial is about, where I would use specifically, these are from the company sample pack, like his bass glitch noises, and then I have some from the Virtual Riot sample pack in here. Basically just bringing those in and figuring out the best way to process those, which got pretty good results. Here's some random stuff from like Foley. But I mean, even though these ones are pretty good, the ones I got from processing samples are pretty good compared to the ones that I'm doing with this new technique. It's night and day. Like, these are just so smooth, and you can even visually see in the 3D waveform just how, like, it just looks really full. They honestly, a lot of the time, even look better than the, what am I looking for? Spectral. Like, I honestly think these are better than a lot of the stock tables. Maybe I'm just sucking my own dick, though. But honestly, 100% shouts out to GLORK. He's the author of these the GLORK tables packs, which are hands down, the best Serum wavetables and some of the just best sound design I've ever heard. Like, look at that shit. So anyway, yeah, he taught me this technique, and let's get into it. So the ones I was just showing you right here, Harmer table. So let's just go through this process. I'm just gonna delete all of this. So I started just with a Harmer patch. I started showing you guys, I think I did like a brief Harmer breakdown in our last class for at least two of the classes. I generally try to teach like the same thing in every class every week so I can remember what's going on. But I know sometimes we get a little offset. But I think I started showing most of you guys Harmer. Which is, in my opinion, probably by far the most underrated synth. It's just so fucking cool. I don't know. I can't really stand how FL Studios like actually produces. The workflow makes me want to kill myself, but all their plugins like Vocodex and Citrus and Harmer are just so fucking sick. You should absolutely try Harmer. Bateman39. It's fucking fantastic. So one really interesting thing. Yeah, it's called the condom filter. I don't know why. Nobody knows. It's impossible to say. One of the really cool things that GLORK Glunk was talking about. He has like a 3-hour really in-depth wavetable tutorial. I think I posted it in my Dragons Discord. I might have posted it in the Sldp one. Yeah, I mean, it's worth getting. Big Daddy Doppel. Man, your guys' Twitch handles are wild. So one really cool thing about this, it's not a wavetable synth. It's not a whatever. It's not an FM synth. It's a fully additive synth, and apparently the way it works is that you can see this spectrum on the right side. So according to GLORK, it's not a traditional, like this isn't a quote unquote real filter, because what all the parameters in the synth are actually doing is just changing the actual harmonics that it's generating, which is kind of a technical point that doesn't make a huge difference unless we're using it specifically for this purpose, which is wavetable sound design. So the fact that the filter isn't a real filter, but in essence what GLORK says is that the filter is actually just turning these upper harmonics on and off. And I believe it's the same concept with the phaser as well. So basically, as the name implies, Harmor is just this insane harmonics generation machine. And the reason that the way it works is interesting is because it doesn't create phase issues. So it's specifically really, 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 really good for creating wavetables. Not that that really matters, but it's a little interesting bit of theory. So I'm just gonna get into it and show you guys the process. So obviously the phaser right here is probably my favorite part about Harmor. If you go to this condom mode and, you know, crank the width up a little bit, you start cranking on the offset, you just get all these crazy tones. A few little minutia to look at right here. So maybe the camera's in front of my screen. Phaser mask. So if you go down here, these are essentially the modulators, the mapping, and then the shaping. The synth is a little counterintuitive with how it's set up, but it has a ton of really interesting parameters. So the phaser mask is just the frequency range that it applies the phaser to. So I'll generally just take out the low end a little bit right here. And then you hear that fundamental just stays really, really clean while we cycle through the phaser, whereas before, you can hear right there the phaser sort of resonates with the harmonic and kind of blunts it out, and you hear that like square wave distortion. So that's all we're avoiding right here. Just take that out. And we can just hear that fundamental coming through really, really nice and clean. So this is already sounding sick, and if we started bouncing this into a wavetable, it'd start sounding really nice. I want to just do a little bit more sound design here in Harmor. So I guess, again, all of ImageLine's plugins are kind of vague and like don't totally make sense to me, but I believe these are the two oscillators up here, but you can basically just fade in between these two single cycle waveforms, and it has this cool just randomized thing. So I'll just kind of like cycle through these random ones and try to find one that just sounds cool. And really the thing that I'm looking for right here is just a nice, interesting single cycle that will feed the phaser in an interesting way. And that's obviously just a square wave on the right side here. We're going to bring the fade all the way over to the left and use this random gen. You can also drag audio files into this if you have sample packs or collections of single cycle waveforms. I I have a bunch of them. They're not currently on my production hard drive right now. I got to dig out one of my old externals, but there's this really great single cycle library called the Galbanum Waveform Pack, I believe. And that's actually where a lot of the wavetables and sounds from original Massive came from. So that's really interesting. I'm really keen to start experimenting with those. But for now, even if you just work with a saw or a square from the default synth or play with this randomized thing, you can get some really interesting results. There's also this where you can drag images or samples into and do like this weird image resynthesis thing. We're not going to get into that right now, but that's a really interesting thing that Harmor does. So we got some really interesting harmonic movement going on. Here's another really interesting thing that Harmor has is the two filters right here. And then it has like a resonance mode. I've never seen this on any other synth except this. You get some really weird stuff going on. Yeah, so basically it just makes the resonance peak unique, I think, or applies different filter curves to the resonance peak. This one's pretty wormhole, I think. Maybe it's noise. Oh, yeah, listen to that. Who's in the Discord? What's going on here? Okay, no one in the Sldp. We're good. So yeah, you can hear it. Stop, I'm having a bad trip. You got this, Ornata. Yeah, so again, just a very rare kind of unorthodox feature, but when you crank this up, starts adding in the weird bleep loops. And then the width seemingly controls the speed of the bloops. Okay, so I'm relatively happy with this patch, and we can start getting some cool stuff out of it. So I'm just gonna... So I'm just drawing out one bar. I'm at 150. It's relatively arbitrary. As far as sound designing for wavetables goes, using this technique, I think... So basically what we're doing is sound design. In this case, in Harmor, you can do it anywhere, though. Yeah, just designing any noise. Yeah. We're making a wavetable right now, Sensate. But we're using Harmor. I think Harmor is great for wavetable design. You could be using any synth. You could be designing a serum patch to turn it into a wavetable, to turn into a serum wavetable. It's really whatever you want. Just I like here using Harmor just because it's fucking sick. I think so. I think there's I believe there's an 11-second sample limit when you're dragging samples into Phase Plant's wavetable editor, which is our next step. But the length of the sample doesn't matter too much as long as you're getting all like the sound and definition. Obviously, you don't want to make like a 20 millisecond sample because you're gonna get you're not gonna get as much definition. But I've found like a bar or 2 bars at around 140 or 150 is a pretty good thing. As far as the note goes, GLORK told me that F is good because it has to do with the amount of samples or something. Yeah, so we're just going to go for F for now. I'm trying to get more up on my technical shit here so I can give you guys a better explanation. But so we're just going to start automating parameters. And then we're going to do this one. I just like doing a little fade in on the filter at the beginning, just so at the very beginning of the serum wavetable has like basically just a straight sine wave. All right, I'm not going to obsess too much over the serum, over the Harmer patch right now. You can't just drag the sample into the serum wavetable editor, can't you, and skip faceplant? No. So basically, the reason this technique works so well is because of, I suppose, just the coding of faceplant, or how the wavetable editor works there. But the thing that makes it work is simply just importing it into faceplant and then just saving it, and then the way faceplant saves the wavetable makes it import perfectly into serum. And trying to import the samples that I make just from straight sound design into serum sounds like 100 times more ass for whatever reason. It's kind of mysterious. I think that Kilohertz just made some really fucking big brain processing algorithms. So I'm just going to do a tiny bit of processing on here. A little bit of OTT, just G-clip it. Is faceplant good to use instead of Harmer originally? It really depends on your intent. I mean, faceplant is a completely different synth than Harmer. Obviously, it's like a semi-modular wavetable FM synth, whereas Harmer is just kind of its own unique, crazy thing. And the thing I like about Harmer is just the insane harmonics it generates, which I think lend itself really well to wavetable creation. And I have a lot of fun sound designing in Harmer. You can literally do this with anything. You could use serum, you could use operator. Maybe I'll do this again after this patch with an operator patch, so you guys can see how it would come out with an operator patch. But this technique actually holds for any sound. It's just, I really like the results I get using Harmer, because Harmer makes really fucking sick noises that I think sound awesome as wavetables. Okay. Yeah, sell some feet pics so you can get a faceplant. Kilohertz does a $10 a month subscription though. That's what I have, and I think it actually buys it over time, but it's a really good way to get into faceplant, and you get all of you get multipass and snap heap, which is and all of the individual plugins as well, like the Kilohertz transient shaper and all their other plugins, which are really cool. Okay, so that's cool. I'm just gonna render this out now. 44.1, 16-bit. And then I made this new folder, wavetables and shiz, and then this is for my audio renders of strictly my sound design. So this is going to be called Harmer 2320. It's always a good strategy. Name stuff using dates to keep track of it. Okay, so our next step, right? First step, sound design. Next step, we want to get our phase plant out here. And then here's what we do. Just open it up. If you guys aren't familiar with phase plant, it's completely modular. So your generators or your oscillators, you just click here and then wavetable. Then you go into the pencil, file, create from sample. I've already been using this folder. So I'm just going to open up this sound design element that we just made, Harmer 2320. And let's check this out. Let's see how it imported. So as we can hear it imported really well. I'm not entirely sure the technical differences between Serum's wavetable editor and Faceplant's wavetable editor, but I can strongly speak from experience that dragging sound design elements like this or samples or whatever else into Faceplant, it'll pretty much turn them into a wavetable in a way that sounds almost exactly like the sample, whereas I have extremely mixed results with the Serum wavetable editor. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with that one. But basically, so we drag it in. I think the main difference with the phase plant editor is that it does this thing where it locks the phases of all the frames. So you can see like that left to right movement. Like the phase is essentially where the wave starts, right? So what phase plant does is it essentially like will take your sample and then align all the phases so it sounds a lot better right off the bat. I'm just going to do it again just to make sure we're getting the cleanest result. Boom. File, create from sample, Harmer 2320, done. Dope. Let's open that back up and we're going to go File, Save. So a few little things here. I'll then save these. So that audio renders folder is for just my sound design elements, and then I save my actual wavetables into this folder. You know, you'll set up your folder structure however you want. Serum does not read FLACS, which is by default what FacePlant wants to save as. So you got to switch it to wave, and then we're going to call it Harmer 2320, and then save. Okay, so that's all good. We can close FacePlant. Then what we're going to want to do is open a new instance of Serum. Cool. So I have my folder set up on my left here, just in Ableton, my wavetables and chiz. So here's where I just saved that exported wavetable from FacePlant in Harmer 2320. If we listen to it, it's actually really interesting. So you can hear it, it saves it kind of all stretched out or really low or whatever it's going on there. So here's the secret sauce. Can't hear. Well, can't, oh, I see what's going on. Interesting. Yeah, my cue, okay, let's actually drag that out. So this is what it saves it like. So that's what FacePlant is actually saving the wavetables as. I think that's to maintain resolution, or it renders it at the lowest possible thing or whatever. Yeah, it is weird, right? So here's the secret sauce. Again, shouts out GLORK. What you do, open up a fresh Serum. You go into your wavetable editor, and then in the formula parser here, you just type 2048. So you can see it says split at 2048 samples, 22 hertz, note F1, and minus 22 cents. So essentially, my understanding of this is that FacePlant renders or saves its wavetables at 2048 samples per cycle or samples per second or something. I'm really not too up on my audio nerd shit. But the key here is typing in 2048 to this formula parser. Boom. And then we just drag in our sample. Let's look at this. And it pretty much drags in perfectly. And let's, just for the sake of doing so, there's our original sound design element. Let's try dragging it in. So like that's what would happen if you tried making that sound and dragging it into Serum. You can hear it kind of sounds good on this import normal dynamic pitch snap 0. But you can hear it does the whole sound within the first 42 frames. So you're losing a ton of resolution. You can hear that one's kind of decent as well, but this is just so much cleaner. And again, that's just dragging that FacePlant wavetable directly into the formula parser using that 2048, and you don't need to do any processing, you don't need to do any fades. It's like perfectly smooth. But then we can still go in and do some processing, like process, normalize, just to make it a little bit louder. But yeah, that's been the new workflow for custom wavetables. So we'll just save that. Tables user folder. Harmer 2320. Very cool. What do you guys think? Are you impressed? I'm impressed. I was super impressed when I learned that technique. Super grateful for GLORK and his contributions to the sound design landscape and that whole thing. My goal moving forward is definitely to use predominantly custom wavetables and yeah, kind of flexing on it. This might be my favorite one that I've made so far. All right. We'll try to make a cool dubstep sound at the table. Okay. So from what I've found, making these kind of like more high pitched tables with like a lot of that really high end frequency content can be really good for serum, because when you start applying the bend modes, it gets like really neat. As always, I'll forever be a sucker for asym minus. So because we use that weird noise filter on there, the movement of the table isn't super smooth. So I'm almost seeing like like kind of like a stepped, more square modulation on this sound. So I'm just gonna try to like kind of YOLO this here. That's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. I try not to be too attached to the outcome when I'm doing sound design, because, you know, it's just sound design. Well, I'm probably going to make 10 bazillion basses in my lifetime. So. And now I'm thinking like maybe if like some sort of time-based filter. I'm thinking I almost want to hear that resonance kind of fade in a little bit. pretty cool. Really good shortcut. Control Alt click changes between bipolar and polar. And what I'm doing right here, I feel like I want to hear like a little volume envelope, or a pitch envelope rather. That's cool. Really gets that. Let's do a little bit of stereo. Okay. And I'm thinking that bringing up a high pass might be good here. So right there, I was just listening for that resonance, like what sounded good. You can hear right there, it kind of starts resonating with the root. And then we'll just try one of these for fun. We'll try this. So the chorus in Serum can kind of be like another layer of time-based effect. If you turn the rate all the way down and then the low pass all the way up. It adds some serious stereo as well. It's not always right. I mean, it can seriously shape a sound. I don't know how much I like it right here. I'm going to keep playing with it. Yeah, it's all right. I'm going to do no OTT in the sense. Yeah, so that sounds all right. I'm not going to lie. I think the part I like most about this patch is that first, just like. Like that too. So now we're just going to do a little bit of standard processing. Our OTT into the G clip. Do some EQ here. Do our low cut. So I just started using Soothe today. You guys probably heard of this thing. I need to buy it. It's really fucking sick. Where is it? It's in my Soothe. So this thing basically auto analyzes your really harsh frequencies. See what that's doing? It's basically auto detecting all like the really resonant peaks. It's serious cheat codes for EQing. So you can basically do like a pretty YOLO EQ shelf like this and then hit it with the Soothe. And it essentially just auto detects and notches out all the really harsh frequencies. And it has this cool feature right here. You can hear the delta, like what it's actually changing. So all those peaks right there are what it's cutting out. I know a lot of people are a big fan of this plugin. Mr. Bill specifically uses it a lot. That's where I first used it in person, was collabing with Bill. I want to get better at it, but even just using the factory default preset here and playing with the depth and the selectivity and stuff. So yeah, that's really cool. Like, listen to that. And it makes me feel a lot more confident, like YOLO ripping into an OTT after. Let's just do one OTT. This is literally just this factory default preset. And the curve here is just what frequencies it's looking for. So you can see it has this boost around 4K. So it's looking for those extra harsh 4K frequencies and just pretty much everything from the low mids up, and then it falls off a little bit the highs. So this just controls what it's looking for. And the higher of the curve you put here, the more it's going to work on these frequencies. So you can see the high, it's almost like a reverse harshness EQ. So the higher I drag this, the more it's going to take out harshness in these frequencies. And then the more you bring it down, the less it'll do it. It's slightly counterintuitive, but it definitely makes sense. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I might take a break for a second and put on the Wii Shop music and then come back and try to write a drop. Or actually, maybe I'll go through some of the whips I've been working on and show you guys what's going on there. What do you think? What do you think? And as always, when I'm designing patches, let's go ahead and group them. I'll call this Harmer Serum Yoink Boy 69. Cool. Then drag this into the old bases folder. Nice. All right, I'm going to be back in like 5 to 10 minutes. And, yep, I'll go over some whips. Hang tight, guys. Yes. Hey, 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 we're back. We're back. Who's there? Who's there? Pfizer's in the chat if you're there. Pfizer. I'm confused. It's really hard to move in a mirror. There we go. Nice. Got a thick operator boy on the other screen. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, bummer we couldn't meet up for class today. Was everybody's homeworks going well? How was that operator stuff? Are you guys feeling like you're getting some good stuff out of that? Nice. Gyuda, you just gotta... Whoa. Audio... What the fuck? Let's get that. Oh, God, I hate hearing my own voice. Okay. Let's make sure we got this audio routing on the master channel. River joined class like last week. Wait, isn't that the class we did operator in, River? I can't remember. There we go. Okay, here we are. Oh yeah, I was doing some more soothe experiments here. It's just so interesting to see what it auto notches out, and it's like, wow, that's stuff I could be doing manually, but clearly these fucking genius god sent nerds have made us the perfect auto notching plugin here. I mean, I don't know. I probably should work on my surgical EQing more to be able to achieve a similar result without soothe, but soothe is really, really cool, and seeing like the way it auto notches in real time is fascinating. Okay, so I posted this in the Discord earlier. Oh, right. That's right, River. You physically can't use operator because you don't have the right copy of Ableton. That's yeah. Oh man. Good luck with the new PC. You gotta get Live 10 Suite popping. It's nice. Grouped groups. Like look at this. I'm doing hella grouped groups. Layer 1, we have the yoink right here. Then we have our two longs in this other group, and then we have it all grouped in a group, so you can do soothe and OTT into a G clip. Super cool. Yeah, so this isn't anything noteworthy as far as composition goes, but I was just working on EQing and gain staging techniques for getting layered notes that sound good. So let's just check this out. Ornata using someone who isn't me in the Twitch chat. That's funny, bro. Gotta love Swim. I don't know. This is my first time listening on headphones, and I'm not as crazy as about the mixdown as I was. But let's check it out. So basically the technique I was trying to practice here, it's just layering two or more basses and having them have their own space and just come through really cleanly. Obviously Calcium is kind of the guy who really got this thing popping. I mean, it's always been a thing. I don't even know when it started really popping off. I mean, maybe like 2015 onwards, like people started. I mean, actually, I guess it was Jotaro by Pfizer. That's really the first time when like dubstep tunes started just being double drops, and now it's like 2020. Every single hard dubstep tune is like a long boy with like one or more layers of yoinks on top. And I don't know if you guys listen to that new Bainbridge EP on Disciple Roundtable, but like literally every single track is a long boy with just fucking bullshit over it, and it's kind of funny, but I mean, it gets a little tiresome when people just do that every single time, or like every single drop in a set is just a sustain plus notes. But it's a style that I really, really enjoy. So I was just trying to get it dialed. So here's basically what I was doing. So the idea is twofold. Something that I've mentioned to you guys a good bit before in class, which is never try to layer sounds which don't want to be layered, meaning that if you're trying to layer two similar sounds, they're just going to be fighting for space, and they're not going to really work. So you want to just layer sounds that are going to be easy to layer together. So meaning design one sound more in the lower range or the low mid range or whatever, and then your layered sound on top wants to be more in the high range, or just, you know, low, mid, high, whatever it is. Just have stuff occupy its own space. So here are our 3 layers here. So that's kind of like a low, mid, high boy. Here's the really high boy. And then here's the yoink. So you can see right off the bat, this one is kind of the foundation. It's like the lowest sound. This one's kind of like mid-low with a lot of high elements. And this one is obviously pretty much only high. And then you could do this either way, but what I did in this instance was have the wobble be more mono. So I did like a little bit of stereo. But using the Ozone Imager, I only put like, you know, you kind of see the step down here. I emphasize this low mid region more. And then I kind of tried to taper off the stereo imaging going towards the highs. So it has a little bit of imaging and a little bit of stereo up towards the highs, but it's not crazy wide or anything. And then the sound itself, I intentionally designed to fill more of that low mid range. And honestly, I wonder what it would sound like with another layer that's just a saw wave. Let me try this real quick. Oh, yeah, listen to how much that fills that out, huh? Okay, so I just kind of went on my own personal tangent right there, but I just duplicated that track and then just had it play just a square wave. Or square wave. Let's do no bend. You know, just a basic wave, just to get those like lowest harmonics there, and it kind of X Games. That's funny. So that's where all the texture and kind of the character of the sounds come from. And then obviously a square wave on its own isn't that interesting. But you can just hear how much it fills that out. So again, these were designed as more low-mid elements with like a more close-in stereo field. And then these long boys on the top, I just went like full stereo. So I'm using mid-side EQ here, where the mid is cut way higher, like closer up to like 1,000. And then the side is accentuated in the lower range. So way out on the stereo field, you're going to have like that lower, that mid-high of the long boy accentuated. And then the middle of it, there's going to be way more room for that more center mid bass to breathe in. And that's like a pretty subtle, I mean, it's not subtle, but it's a pretty nuanced effect that you have to be listening in good monitors and headphones to hear, but check that out. Really cool. And then the idea with this one is that it's just a super high note that, I mean, it's so high that it's easy to have come through, so you can have it a little bit on the quieter side and not just like comes through really easily. These are all just way out in the stereo field, and then we combine it with this. And then what I'm doing here, I just grouped the two noises right here. So like the high mid one and the low mid one. And then the two long boys, and then they're both in their own one layer group. So I can adjust the balance of each part of the layer. You could definitely have the square wave as wavetable 2 in the original Sarin patch. That's actually a good idea. But if you do it as a second synth, you obviously can EQ it and process it separately just to make sure that it's really doing its job. But that's a pretty good idea. It can be more efficient than this. I feel like I want to hear a little bit more of the long boys. Here, bring this. This noise at the end of the phrase is literally so bad. This was like a random patch that I dropped in and tried to make less bad with some EQ, but it's just not panning out well. And then I want to hear a different harmonic here. Oh God, that long one is, the high one is horrible. Okay, yeah, I mean, so that's a technique I want to work a lot more on and get some really nice production tune examples going on with some long boys layered with notes or vice versa or whatever, just really advanced layering. But that's kind of what I was trying today, and I'm pretty happy with the result of it. These other basses are just kind of bullshit filler, but the mix down and the balance on these is not bad. And as you can see, so I was being lazy. I just brought out a virtual ride drum loop here and like processed it with OCT and G-Clip. Just as temporary, placeholder, just because I was working on my bass sound design and EQing and stuff. But I'm actually going a little bit lower than the 000s technique. I've just been experimenting with going slightly less blasted lately. So -2, -2, and still 0 on the drums. And I think it just helps the balance of the tune overall a little bit because the drums just come through super hot. And yeah, it's a little bit more room for the sound design to breathe. Let me pull up this Mastodon-esque practice that I was working on. This one isn't great. I don't know. Well, you guys seem to like it when I posted it in the server earlier. I was YOLOing pretty hard, though. I'll show you guys what was going on. This is a pretty cool technique to use sometimes, but it's aggressive. Let's check it out. What'd you guys think of the mid-side stuff and everything? Oh, no. I hear my own mic again. Make it stop. Oh, thank God. That was horrible. All right. Yeah, so I don't know. I was just trying to get like a little heavier, kind of that tear out flow. This is really, really fucking shittily EQ'd and mixed down though. So what I was doing, I decided to just go full YOLO, like not care about the mix down send, and I was doing all medium curve saturators on the end of my basses, which is just like. You hear that difference? So analog clip is a lot more similar to like a G clip like we use all the time. But then the medium clip is like way louder, but way more distorted. Kind of hurt my ear. Yeah. I should definitely aggressively soothe this. But that's kind of what I was going for. I was just like, oh, fuck it. I'm going to mix as loud as humanly possible. I'm actually automating it right there. It's an interesting layer. I'm just doing some extreme frequency shifting. Yeah, there's one named Meat Lord. Yeah. The new Murata song with Trampa, I think it's pretty sick. It could have been a bit more creative, but as far as like a dance floor banger, I think it's effective. Definitely gonna be fat to double drop with. Could have been a bit more creative though, but like making dubstep's hard, so I can't knock anybody. I think it's a sick tune. Yeah, let's check it out. Yeah, so again, I was kind of just fucking straight YOLOing on this one, just going like really hard with a lot of distortion and kind of like letting part of the sound design of the song be distortion. And then going into a pretty aggressive X for OTT G clip on the master, 74, 730, 0, 33. I'm sure a lot of people would kill themselves if they saw this, but, you know, it can be fine sometimes. And the other main thing I was working on was literally just using not rhythm drums. So yeah, just kind of like those tear out drums. I don't know. I'm not super crazy about this one. I want to try making some more tear out soon that isn't so ass. Let's open up another one. This one's pretty cool. I should think of some unique routines to do while projects load. Is everybody's homework going? You guys working on some sick tunes or what? Get this master thing on here. Yeah, so this is literally just fucking around with like a truly rhythm drop. Check it out. I think it's pretty cool though. It'll be a really fun DJ tool. That switch up is bullshit. That was like just some random thing I was playing around with. But yeah, same thing. I'm using a lot more of these Harmer wavetables I made right here. This is a Harmer wavetable for Serum. Okay, so this is interesting. Oh, this is actually using Square 4 in Serum. So this is like the Square 4 is a Maelstrom from Reason wavetable, which is like the real rhythm noise. So I was fucking around making a sense with that. Then we got another high-end layer. So yeah, just a little bit of advanced rhythm here. Then I had some operator yoinks on that first hit. And we've talked about this a little bit, but I'm using that auto pan effect. I think I need to have like another like eighth note thing or like really fast like on top of this to make it work. But yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so those were kind of my two shitty whips. Then this one's pretty good, I think. Yeah, basically I've just been trying to run through lots of little ideas lately and try to get some techniques out, try to get some just techniques down and work on my synthesis and work on my mix downs and stuff. And then, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we can get in the routine of making some more try hard tunes soon. Also, I need to, oh, look, it already has it. Okay, check this out. Why isn't it working? Okay, there we go.
Oh, I sense a pattern developing.
Why not? We need to find some new tunes.
So I think the flow on this one's really interesting. Like, let's listen to just the bass. So yeah, I was kind of trying to do like the Bane. How come dragons in all your projects? Because I use it as a reference because it has a good mix down. it lets me know how bad I need to feel about my mix down. But I think this one is actually sounding pretty good. So yeah, I was trying to do like that crazy layered flow, but with a more technical, like melodic approach. What's that downbeat? Which one?
It's a pattern developing.
This is a sound I made, and then where the fuck is it? I think it's this right here. Yeah, it's like resampled, but then I stretched it a lot, or so you can get that effect if you do beats and then go up a crazy amount on the transient. So like, it's literally that sound plus 32. Just really cool. Yeah, that can be a really easy way to get like glitched out noises, especially if you already have a bass line going, because it sounds completely different from your normal bass line. But gets that really sweet effect, and it's relatively unique, but you'll start recognizing that like Ableton warp mode abuse pretty quickly, so I try to use it tastefully. Let's check this out, actually. This is pretty neat. Yeah. Good idea, Jelly. Let's check out all the basses. So this actually started as a production example, or just a production practice that I was doing, where I made a phase plant bass. I think. Okay, so I'm not great with phase plant, so I was kind of YOLOing here, but the bass patch here was this one of these GLORK wavetables, and then I was like FM phase modulating the phase here. I guess the term would be phase modulation, I guess, because if you go, this isn't making noise, it's acting as like an FM oscillator would, but on the phase, which would be like phase modulation for massive. But it would be technically FM if you go from here then to the shift. That yeah, 6 dispersers. You know it fucking sounds sick. So yeah, this is basically some phase modulation with a GLORK table and phase plant. Then I just did a really aggressive YOLO EQ curve here. I mean, definitely accentuates some harmonics and peaks there. Then, yes, the 6 disperser spammer. You can't knock it. 999. Look at that. Look at that. Whatever it does, I mean, I really don't understand what disperser actually does. They claim it's a magic all-pass filter. I don't know. It makes it sound lasery. But then what I was doing, let's turn all of this crap off. Yeah, so I tried to do like some pretty try hard notch filtering right here, just to get all the harsh frequencies out. Okay, so I wasn't using that right there. And then what I was trying to do was just create a lot of interesting automation and movement just within the one patch. So I started bringing in tons of different tonal delays, some chorus, reverb, and then yeah, basically what I was trying to do. Yeah, the original sound is very simple. So let's check it out. So you can see these 3 tonal delays, they're most of the time not on, but they come in here and there to throw a little accent on it. And then let's hear what it sounds like with the Zorbus on it. So yeah, that adds that like a this is a chorus preset in Ableton. You can just drag it out, Zorbus, and then I'm automating the dry wet. can see some pretty try hard dry wet reverb right here. Yeah, so that's basically what this idea started as. And then you can see this is actually off for the drop right here. And then I bounced it all out to audio so I could have some more control and just pick out only the notes that I really liked. So let's listen to this soloed as audio. So yeah, I pushed it a little bit harder, put some more OTT on it. Kind of sounds like shit. Got to work on it more. But then I just started adding all these other layers. See what this one is. Yeah, so this one you don't necessarily notice as much, but it definitely adds a lot to the flow. This one's cool. I'm using some Max for Live envelope EQ8 automation right here. So this is a Max for Live effect that you can drag onto the beginning of your chains and then map it to any knob or any parameter. And, you know, you can do some crazy stuff like automatic, really interesting EQ8 automation with it. You know, just classic. I believe this is another GLORK table. High notch 12 filter. Doing some EQ bumps here, little OTT in the patch, into an OTT and a G clip. So this is nothing crazy, just a pretty normal serum patch, just adding it on. Sounds nice later with that one. And this is like, this is just a classic whistle tip, high pitch FM serum noise with the comb filter on it. And then I'm just doing some reverb into OTT automation. Get that space effect. And then we kind of have this weird compound flow here. And then the idea that I wanted to incorporate in was like the multi-layered bass thing, going a little bit melodic, and then it's like dun, 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 and then you bring in the high-end elements right here. So I just have like a choir patch, which I always love, and then to like a little chiptune synth right here, which is literally just square waves from Operator with an arpeggiator on it. And you automate the rate. It's kind of fun effect, similar to doing like a try hard sound design flex in Serum. You go like same thing, just with the rate of an arpeggiator. It's a fun effect. And then I kind of tried to have like this relation between the melodic and the layered rhythm flow. Then we added in this operator noise right here on like the B part of the phrase. Nothing too crazy. Choir patch. This is actually an Ableton library that I own. It's called Olympus. Ableton, Olympus. Yep, Olympus Elements. I think it's $100 on the Ableton website, and then it installs these awesome Olympus choir racks, all samples. It sounds really good. You can change like the syllables and the articulation and stuff. And then I use this a little bit as an accent element here.
Why not? We need to find you some new tunes.
And then I haven't really worked on the second 8 bars yet, but the idea that I want to do here is like incorporate that idea and flow from the first part, but then make it more aggressive, like the long boy plus yoinks we were working on from that last example, and just make it like really egregious, way too many things happening at once, because it's 2020 and we're making dubstep. That's pretty cool. Let's see, do I have anything else new? I think this one might be decent. Yeah, and I'm working on getting a lot of these kind of finished up and fleshed out and make a little EP soon. We'll see. We'll see. I'm just doing my thing, having a good time. Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? Who thinks it's bad? Fizo in the chat if it's bad. I want to do a 4 or 5 song EP. I think 3 song EPs are lame. A 3 song EP is just a big single. Not to knock anybody's 3 song EPs, but I feel like personally, if I'm releasing an EP, it has to be at least 4 songs. Otherwise, you a bitch. Oh, this is the one I've been showing you guys in class. But I think this is the latest version where the flow's a little bit different.
Wait, I was Mike, the mic director. Got on a.
All right, so I've already actually broken that one down a lot in class. I think I might have made this slightly less ass. Nope, that's still really ass. Oh yeah, Miles, Miles 32, Mile 32, River, whatever it is. Yeah, you joined class a few weeks late, and this was the example I made for class 2 or 3 weeks ago. Let's actually just listen to it all the way through, just for fun. The intro definitely needs a lot of work. I like the melody ideas, but the mix down and the sound design is kind of fucked.
I was Mike, the mic director. Got on a.
I think like right here, it sounds like he's saying the high fruct, and I also always makes me think of high fructose corn syrup. The high fructose.
The dragon hungers.
So yeah, I think this song is pretty sweet. I really like the flow on the drop, like that straight staccato shit.
Got on a.
Then I just have to make this B drop less fucking shitty, get a really fat layer going on, and then maybe make second drops. I don't know, man. It's like, should you even make a second drop, or do people make second drops just to impress other producers, or do fans actually listen to second drops, or can you get away with making 2-minute 30 songs? Nobody knows. Mr. Bill was saying to me though, he's like, yeah, man, what's the point? Like, just make 2-minute 30-second songs, and I was like, oh fuck, that's like, it's kind of a good point. Yeah. I was trying really hard to get that push and pull going here, and like that staccato feel. Bunkum fump, bunkum fump, bunkum fump. You know, just those little spaces at the end. Yeah, I don't know. Every once in a while, I make a song that is not terrible, or that I don't mind at least. Yeah, let's check out that sub movement. That sounds really pleasing. This is always a rule. You have to be able to listen to your song without mid-range or melody elements and still groove to it. That's how you know like the underlying thing is just catchy. So that's always a good test to do on your tunes. I always try to do that. And sometimes I'm like, wow, why do we even put mid-range in here? Like,
Got on a
that is 100% true angry key. Some really interesting fun facts about sub bass, or at least one fun fact about sub bass, is that it's completely omnidirectional. So every other range of frequencies travels relatively directionally, but sub bass travels omnidirectionally. It's almost like it emanates out from the subwoofers. And I don't know, it behaves really interestingly. The room at school is a really good example, actually. Like, the bass is present by the speakers, there's none in the middle of the room, and then it all pulls in the back of the room. So the way bass behaves is really, really interesting, because you got to think about it, right? Like an E, if a dubstep song is an E, the sub bass is 40 hertz, and the wavelength of that note is, I believe, well, let's look it up. Let's be scientifically accurate here. 40 hertz wavelength. So the wavelength of a 40 hertz note is 28 feet. So theoretically, I don't know. Honestly, sound is really confusing, but the note can't even unfold until 28 feet from the speaker. So it has these really weird things where it like creates nodes and nulls and other things in the room. And sub bass itself is very elusive. It's probably. It's definitely the hardest thing to reproduce accurately, or to reproduce in a consistent and accurate way in a listening environment, as is all sound, actually. I mean, people really don't realize how complicated music is. For like how primal and accessible music is, people don't realize how goddamn complicated it is, and it hurts me to no end. Going to Sky Club or going to a venue, you're like, wow, it sounds like fucking shit. That's my little sound rant. But yeah, I think I'm about to end the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back to class next week, and I hope that was somewhat enlightening, somewhat decent. Maybe I'll post this stream on my YouTube. Homework is just keep working on your tunes. I'm not I don't know, man. I like writing music the best in the mornings when I'm really caffeinated. I can't try hard at songwriting at night. I'm kind of like start to go in my spin down mode. But maybe next week or next time I do a stream, I'll try to write a 30-minute to 90-minute banger. Oh yeah. The homework is make a banger. Yeah, guys. The more stuff you bring in, and especially if you send me your sound design examples as well. I'll be able to give you guys much more in-depth feedback that'll help your production go in the right direction. I mean, you never have to send me the sound design homework, but I would like to start seeing more of you guys send me actual just patches and sound design flexes, so I can make sure you guys are getting the actual techniques down and whatnot. And besides that, just the more new tunes you guys, I would encourage everyone to make at least one new idea a week. I try to make like at least 3 to 5 ideas a week, and then turn maybe one of them into a full song. But the more shit you work on, the more stuff I can give you feedback on, and the more times you try to just actualize the usage of your skills, the more it's going to click for you. And it might take 5, 10, even 15 times to actualize a technique that we're talking about. But eventually, the more you do it, you're going to be like, oh, like that's what it's about. Homework, always SoundCloud links. You can also DM me on Discord, because sometimes like the whips or the homework channels gets a little clogged up. But yeah, if you DM me on Discord and are like, here's my homework, here's my sound design flex, here's my whip, grade it. Yeah. And we'll get more into that flow as the class continues. I'm still figuring out exactly how I want to do these and maximizing effectiveness for everybody. But yeah, cool guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day.